Hello and welcome back to another round of things you didn't know in Baldurs Gate 3. Today we have some cool tricks for you to consider, as well as always a pile of tips and tricks from you guys in the comments. A big thank you to everyone who gets involved, but now let's start the episode. First up, we have not one from the comments of video, but actually one that was tweeted at us from Badger Home Kid. A subtle and neat detail found in the House of Healing during Act 2. All around that place you can find 4 different weapons that you can actually look at. Each weapon is not exactly an insane thing, just a standard weapon, but they all come with their unique class actions, like Hand Me My Saw, where you equip a bone saw for its unique attack, Bloody Bone Saw. Good damage potential and a potential slow at that. All 4 weapons, the bone saw, the syringe, the leech, and the trepannin, can be found around the place and each have their own unique attacks like that. These are actually the exact weapons that you will deal with in the upcoming boss fight with the doctor and the nurses in the main room if you actually choose to fight them rather than convince them to attack each other or whatever. It's a subtle and neat way for them to warn you of what you're about to face, what attacks are actually going to be involved, and maybe with that information you'll be more prepared for the upcoming mini boss fight. This is something that I completely missed, and it's just a nice kind of neat level of detail from the devs, so great find, Badger. Next, a quick trick I highlighted recently in a video all about low level powerful builds. One of the suggestions was a mix of Warlock and Wizard, thanks to the incredible passive that is Armor of Shadows via the Warlock. It provides you with a way to get Mage armor but without actually having to use a spell slot to do it. This is really potent when you combine it with a build that's actually using Arcane Ward from the Abjuration Wizard, stacking up a sort of damage reducing effect each time you cast an Abjuration spell. What's brilliant is how the Mage armor is indeed that, the type of spell that will give you an Arcane Ward stack. And the Warlock version, which is completely free, doesn't cost any spell slots, is also going to help stack that Arcane Ward. So you could repeatedly cast this buff on yourself, stacking up the ward to its max stacks, which will greatly reduce the damage you're going to take. The only downside to this method is you need to sort of cleanse the buff to use it again, and a quick and easy way to do that is to swap on some armor. Mage armor only applies when you're unarmored, so you can get rid of it by putting some on. We can stack this up fast and easily, meaning we should always have max stacks of Arcane Ward with this sort of build before every single fight. But it was Hey Guys LOL Gaming who had a quick tip to help swap gear in a smoother way. If you simply drag your gear to your bars, well, now the item is there, right? And if you click on it, it will unequip and re-equip it. So if you put, say, some armor that will get rid of the Mage armor buff, and say like a robe or whatever you're actually wearing next to each other, you could just click one to equip it and click the other to re-equip the actual robe you want to wear, and that process will cleanse the magic armor and put you back in the actual gear you want to be in, all in like half a second. The alternative to that is open your inventory, click on the specific gear slot like the chest piece, find a suitable heavy enough armor to cleanse the actual mage armor, then find the actual robe you want to go back to, which is fine, but obviously this process suggested by Hey Guys is a lot smoother. And for this specific trick where you'll be, swapping the gear on and off quite a few times, making that process a lot smoother, certainly a helpful thing, so a good tip there. Moving on, we have one from the comments from Tawiri. Transmutation wizards are able to create a sort of stone buff via their level 6 class passive. This is called the Transmuter's Stone, and it's an action to create a stone that provides a buff. You need to have the stone in your inventory to get that buff, but you get to choose from a selection of what kind of stones and what kind of buff do you want to provide. Now, the limiter on this concept is that you need to cast another transmutation spell or take a long rest before you can make another, essentially capping out your ability to, make a ton of these potent buffs every time. However, Tatwiri actually highlighted how you can get every single buff with this simple trick. Just create a stone and then right click it and send the stone to camp so it's no longer in your inventory. Then you can use a ritual cast transmutation spell, which obviously won't consume a spell slot to do. This will sort of reset the limiter so you can now create a new stone and therefore get another of those powerful buffs from the selection. What's really interesting and very buggy about this is the fact that we've sent the stone to the camp chest. So we're no longer holding the stone, right, which is the requirement for us to have the buff, and yet we still have it. And we can get multiple buffs through this without ever holding the stones. In fact, you can get all of them. And you could do this every time. For every long rest, you just have all of these buffs. Understandably, you might not want to spend the time to do all of that for all these buffs every time, so I would suggest at least the constitution and movement speed ones, and perhaps a resistant that's relevant to maybe what you're planning on facing next. But yeah, this little trick really raises the potential of the Transmuter's Stone and the subclass relevance as a whole. Here's one from the comments I was interested by, from Bill Wumson. As a sorcerer, you'll need to spend sorcery points to use the meta magics you currently have access to. This then limits your ability to spam them, since obviously they're really strong effects. Now, as it turns out, there's a way to avoid spending sorcery points on specifically twinspell, the meta magic, which is honestly one of the stronger options. It's a very popular and very powerful use of twinspell to cast twin haste, buffing up 2 of your party members with one of the strongest buffs found in the game. Being able to do that without spending sorcery points, well, that seems insanely strong to me. You just need to do things in this order. Choose the spell that you're going to use, maybe it's haste, and the spell slot first, and then activate the twinned spell meta magic. Yeah, so we're saving on points when doing that. Apparently, this works on other meta magics too, just not something as ultra broken like the quicken spell one. This is the one that makes a spell cost a bonus action instead of a full action, and it's so strong that they obviously have it cost more sorcery points as well. Somehow it avoided this current bug, it would seem, which is a shame because that would be kind of insane. Still, very useful way to use some of your meta magics to avoid actually spending these sorcery points, making them go a lot longer. Next up, we have a follow-up to a topic we've talked about recently. There is this incredible level 6 spell, the Hero's Feast, which generates roughly 50 food supplies each time you cast it, and also provides an insanely strong buff. I brought this up before because at a certain point in my own gameplay, I've stopped looting everything, and therefore I just don't have a consistent supply of food that I would normally find. As a reminder, you could just use a hireling or someone like Halsin in camp to cast the spell, swapping them in to do it, and then back out for your real party, so that means there's no downside to spending a level 6 spell slot per long rest. You'd need someone like a Cleric or Druid to do it, but it was Alfie Armadillo in the comments that provided this potent tip follow-up. If you want to generate infinite food with said spell, it turns out you can spam it by abusing the tap that's found in Raphael's bath in the House of Hope. The tap basically provides you with a mid-dangerous section long rest to restore your spell slots and all that good stuff, but in this case it gives you a way to cast your spells over and over and over. In this case, generating not just a lot of food, but infinite food, so that you could do it so much that you never need to collect food or buy food ever again. But it was said that after the 3rd patch, they tried to fix this one. So obviously I went and tested this, and I found some interesting details. It seems that after you actually defeat the House of Hope and complete the events there, you can't use the taps to kind of infinitely long rest and restore your spell slots. So what you need to do is go to the House of Hope before its completion. Once you've hit level 11, use someone like Halsin or whoever who is level 11 to have the Hero's Feast, absolutely spam it, and then of course generate a ton of food by resetting and using the tap repeatedly. After you complete the House of Hope, however, it doesn't seem like these faucets, these taps will actually give you the long rest effect anymore, which means you won't be able to do it after completing the House of Hope. Like I said, there's a lot of confusion in the comments and details around this, but after my testing, that's what I found, so hopefully that helps. As a follow-up to that one though, it was the commenter Dig Streak who highlighted a really important detail to Hero's Feast that I've never mentioned. The buff provides some insane resistances. For example, the really strong and pretty dangerous to your own party when cast spell, Cloudkill, is one of those things you become resistant to. It's so strong a buff and resistance that you're actually completely immune to the effect, which does mean your entire party, when buffed up with Hero's Feast, cannot take damage from it. So you can literally drop the cloud on top of all the enemies and fight within it, without, say, the normal downsides of it dealing the horrible consistent damage to everyone within it. This essentially decimates group combat because you can easily rely on the cloudkill to deal tons of ticking damage per turn that just destroys lower health, big packs of enemies, that's for sure, but is still going to be really useful in a normal fight, even with just a couple targets. If you can hold them in there or fight within it without the downsides of you taking the damage, it's kind of very strong. Hero's Feast is honestly incredible with all of the relevant uses of it, and specifically this one with Cloudkill, so thank you for highlighting that one, Dig. But there you have it, another round of things you didn't know in Baldurs Gate 3. Some really useful stuff this time, lots of weird tricks and combos of spells today. If you guys have anything you'd like to add to, maybe what we've talked about today, or just something in the future that you think most people haven't known about, you can drop that in the comments and we might just talk about it. And it doesn't always have to be like super useful stuff like we talked about today, it could just be interesting or just silly. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you for watching, we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice. to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.